Okay, well, welcome everybody. Hello, thank you for joining us to this webinar hosted by Target3D and VR Engineers. We're very pleased and grateful you can join us today and have a look at this immense XTAL 8K headset. Here at Target3D, our aim is to be the UK's #1 source for 3D immersive technologies. And we've got a very strategic partnership with VR Engineers. And this is a great example of our drive to create partnerships with the very best in the business of immersive technologies. I'll just touch on the format for today. We're going to hand it over shortly to Jana and Liliana and Jan, who will present to you in detail about the XTAL. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A at the bottom of the your kind of taskbar at the bottom. Fire your questions in there. We'll collate them during the presentation, and at the end we'll answer them all. A lot of them might be similar questions. And then afterwards, this presentation will be available on both Target3D and VR Engineers YouTube channels and LinkedIn, and you'll be able to share that with anyone who you feel is interested thereafter. So this XTAL headset is probably one of the most immersive in the marketplace, if not the most immersive. It's got 180 degrees field of view. It's 8K. And one of the main reasons why us at Target3D love this headset is because of its ease of integration, in addition to its kind of general features. But it can be integrated with many applications. These are some of the things which VR engineers have thought of ahead of time with the different iterations of this headset. So along with the standard game engines like Unreal and Unity, you can use it with Autodesk products, ICIDO, Dassault Systems, VRED. And from our perspective, we're all about hardware, and we are able to integrate this with things like Steam for tracking, OptiTrack, ART for work with MOSIS. And in addition to some of the kind of interesting features like automatic IPD and leap motion inbuilt here, so you can see your hands whilst you're in a virtual environment. They've really thought about how it can integrate with other technologies, so things like Tesla Suit or simulator platforms, and they've got a great repertoire of examples of this. So please do ask about that at any point. So right now I'll hand over to Jana and Liliana, who's going to take it over from here. They'll do the presentation, and I'll speak to you all at the end. So over to you, Jana.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone. So I will just briefly introduce myself. My name is Jana Vaharikova, and I'm responsible for partnership network of VR engineers. And I closely cooperate with Alan and Target3D. Together, we are developing especially the UK market. And together here with me is my colleague Liliana Bereskinova, that is responsible for the healthcare industry and the development in this industry, and my colleague Jan Havlicek, that is our pre-sales/tender manager. And perhaps I will handle the word to Liliana, and she will tell you a bit more about the healthcare industry and how the XTAL can be potentially used.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for making time and visiting or attending our webinar. My name is Liliana Bereskinova. I'm the healthcare lead at VR Engineers. So before I let Jan introduce the device itself, I will just give you a very brief intro. We are obviously a VR solution builder. Our centerpiece or core technology is XTAL. But more than anything, we are an R&D company, and we are trying to push boundaries to how advanced the VR headset can be. We have successfully launched the product in many verticals, starting from training and simulation to industry and prototyping. And healthcare is our newest strategic vertical, because we see that as VR is maturing as a technology, we see healthcare being more receptive and more hungry for use cases and evidence for these use cases to sort of complement conventional technologies that are already on the market. Of course, we got a little push from the current COVID pandemic. We see the industry being more receptive of digital technologies, virtualization of trainings. So this is going to be something that we're going to touch in our presentation. But for now, I would like to let Jan introduce the device itself, and I will then continue in the webinar with introducing different use cases.
Good day all, this is Jana speaking. It is nice to meet you today at this webinar. Like Jana said, I'm the pre-sales at VR Engineers, and my role is to support all the technical discussions with our customers. So in general, I would like to introduce in a bit bigger detail some of the specific technical specifications of our headset, which you can actually see on this slide. It is already third generation of this enterprise-ready VR headset, and the aim or idea of our founder and current CEO Marek is to provide the most immersive experience to the users across different verticals that would be using our headset. So if you can, Lily, please move to the next slide. And I will briefly comment on 8 of the most crucial parameters that help to make the experience very user-friendly and very immersive. So as you all probably can imagine, the 2 most important parameters are the resolution and the field of view. Regarding the resolution, it is so-called 8K horizontal resolution, which translates into 2 4K panels. Each panel is 5.6 inches wide, and it is not just about saying or having the 4K panels in the headset. It's about the display utilization, which we actually have over 93% of the area of the display of each display is used, which really translates to a superb pixel per inch or pixel per degree density when compared to other consumer grade headsets. And the displays are placed within the headset in such a way that it enables the users to see up to 180 degrees field of view diagonally, which actually is more than is the average human side field of view, which averages around 170 degrees. The combination of those 2 parameters really helps to create such a sensation to the user, be it in training, in enterprises, or in training for medical students or doctors, or when used for treatment of patients. This helps to kind of trick the brain into thinking that the user actually is in the physical world, because with the combination of those 2 parameters, there is no tunnel vision, and you can hardly take notice of the single pixels. So this really helps to get the brain into the state which is really needed for the trainee or for the patient to digest all the information in a way that he will gain quickly the knowledge, and the knowledge gained will stay in the user for a longer period of time. So those are the 2 most important, and we are actually cooperating very closely with our current customers, and we are working on we are always working on making those parameters even better. Let's say the second set of very important parameters is the compensation algorithms and the lenses. The compensation algorithms are very important because the human brain realizes very easily when something is not in the correct proportions or distances, or when the latency between what the user actually does and what is seen, when there is some, let's say, disconnection, it can cause higher occurrence of feeling of nausea or dizziness. So through usage of these compensation algorithms, we maintain really 100% precise proportion and distances in the VR simulation. And what helps again to increase the lifelike feeling of the virtual simulation are the lenses that we are using in our headset. The lenses are our own in-house developed product. We are actually working on them in a joint venture with an Israeli optics company, and our lenses are patented. So this is also one of the very important features that helps to create these highly immersive simulations. And then there is a suite of several other technologies that are employed in our headset that help to further increase the user experience. So like Alan already mentioned, we have integrated ultra deep hand tracking so that, for example, when there would be a use case for treatment of a patient, we want to, or we would introduce to him, for example, some occupational therapy. So the patient does not need to use different controllers. He doesn't need to learn how to operate them, how to handle them, and he can only use his bare hands. The hand tracking is very precise, so that even the movement of the digits is, let's say, projected into the virtual reality. The next parameter is the automatic IPD, IPD meaning interpupillar distance, and this is a technology which is based on two cameras that are in the headset. The cameras face the user's eyes. The system will automatically detect the distance of each eye from the center of the nose, and it will automatically adjust the distance of the lenses so that it really suits each individual to his own, let's say, face proportions. This is very important. I would say that this is the last puzzle when we are aiming to really open the VR experience to the widest possible number of users, because what quite a lot of people have in experience is that they might feel dizzy after just several seconds of wearing the VR headset. And by the combination of this automatic IPD and the compensation algorithms and the lenses as well, we are able to diminish the occurrence of these negative things to the minimum. What is also very open to users that might not be that technically savvy is the voice command. We have integrated the Microsoft Cortana's voice recognition, and really very wide range of different words or sentences can be set to start different operations within the simulations, within the simulation. And last but not least, what I would like to mention is the next big thing that we are working on, and that is actually the mixed reality. So our headset has an option to have two front-facing cameras, which are on the front side of the headset. Those cameras will track the physical world, and thus the physical, let's say, operation table with some mock-up of a person can be tracked into the virtuality. But on this physical mock-up, actually the simulation can be displayed. And what this bears, what is the added value is that the patient or the surgeon, let's say, will not be operating solely in the virtual reality without any physical feedback regarding how he's using the different tools that he's using. So it can be conjoined, the physical and the virtual world. So this is the, I would say, overarching introduction of all the features. Now I will get the word back to Lily. Nevertheless, if you would have any technical questions during this webinar or after the webinar, I will be more than happy to answer them.
Excuse the little technical difficulty. Can you hear me well? Perfect. So unlike in our headset, we have a little latency in on our computer. As Honza said, there are lots of interesting technical features about XTAL, but the core philosophy of VR Engineers is continuous R&D, not only in terms of investigating further improvements and innovations to the headset itself, but also explore with the pool of XTAL users, new use cases, and new applications of VR. Our vision is to be, let's say, a pill to a molecule, but in a digital sense. So we want to be the best delivery tool for digital content, be it therapies, experiences, or trainings. We believe in digital healthcare as a supportive approach to conventional techniques and methodologies, but we also believe that in the future, as there is more clinical evidence for VR, there could be primary therapies solely built in the virtual environment. Of course, it would be wrong for me to say that XTAL is a headset for every use case. It's not true. It's a high-end professional headset, and we are trying to target and collaborate on use cases where it makes the most difference. Because it's not a wireless headset, we strongly recommend our clients to focus on or use XTAL for stationary solutions, even though we have portable alternatives for XTAL, should there be some field training or should more movement be necessary. Apart from that, perfect use case would be, let's say, the headset alone, but also headset as a part of a professional VR lab that can be set at a research facility or at a university and can either serve a single purpose research topic or serve as a multi-purpose station where students and researchers can work on research projects, but at the same time experience part of the curricula in VR and train themselves and train skills that are not part of the physical curricula for themselves. Typical example would be medics training soft skills and communication with patients, because this is something that here in the Czech Republic is strongly neglected in the academic program. Of course, you saw the features, you saw that we are aiming at the highest level of immersion, situational awareness, and level of comfort so that patients and users can spend the most time in VR comfortably, which also means that we are targeting use cases where the quality of image and the level of immersiveness are crucial, are really important. Is this a headset for gaming? Probably not. For job interview, probably neither. But if you need students or trainees to pay a lot of attention to detail or really be highly immersed, adhere to a rehabilitation scenario, yes, this is the headset that you should definitely explore. Equally, we are offering XTAL for robust projects where VR is only one element and where significant integration or customization is needed. Typically, these would be prototyping environments or training environments for medical professionals learning how to use new medical devices. Here you have a brief overview of use cases where we are actively exploring in research or collaborative sense. This is also where our customers recruit most frequently. And you can see that the range is quite extensive, as universal as VR actually. So if I should start from training and simulation, you can probably see an obvious match between XTAL's features and the needs for highly immersive interactive training. Also, lately we've been focused on building closed loop laboratories where you can apply standardized virtual scenarios and gather data such as biofeedback from the patients or from the research subjects. Also very interesting use case in sports science or in clinical research. Medical device prototyping and evaluation is a specific use case that's basically following up on our previous experience in the industry. It's very useful in order to verify and validate the compliance of a medical device prior to actually manufacturing first batches. So you can create a 3D model that can be assessed by a consultant or by a notifying body and receive feedback while you are still in the development phase. We are also aiming at supporting content creators, because in the VR space there are lots of companies which were founded by doctors and clinicians who have really genuine and deep insight into different issues, unmet clinical needs, and they are creating very superior content. We are trying to support them with the best delivery mechanism for such content. This applies to mental health or also rehabilitation. I will talk about one specific project a little bit later. Medical and diagnostic imaging, as well as 3D data visualization, it's our flagship project because we have developed also our proprietary visualization software. So we are intensely working with researchers in this field for the past 2 years, also publishing and showing how we can basically make this difficult part of research much easier and much more popular among students. Again, I will talk about this use case a little bit later. We are also interested in the niche use cases, such as the beyond the pill approaches. So we are working with clinicians on combined therapies where we can at least lower consumption of some drugs, such as opioids, and compensate for the drug with, let's say, very impactful VR scenario. As you know, these are very experimental projects. All right. Let me start with presenting 3, let's say, flagship projects of VR engineers that we have executed so far in the healthcare space. The first one is RehaVR. It is the first rehabilitation station intended for patients suffering from Parkinson's disease. This rehabilitation station takes into consideration the physical state of the patient and helps him to rehabilitate selected motor, cognitive, and speech functions. As you can see, the headset here is built into a rehabilitation chair. There's a workstation for a therapist. So again, it's a quite complex solution. We have developed it within an European project based on, first of all, the incidence of Parkinson's disease among European population, which is, in our opinion, is the next pandemic. Also, thanks to the availability of clinically driven content on the market, and strong evidence for the impact of immersive scenarios on the adherence to therapy. So this is the rehabilitation use case. Next. The next project is RecoVR. This was a project that was triggered by COVID, actually. Together with our partners in Germany and in the United States, we have developed a training platform for first-line medical practitioners and healthcare managers, mainly based on stress management therapies and tools to prevent these crucial first-line staff from burning out or from exhaustion. At the same time, training healthcare managers how to manage teams that are under extreme pressure and facing uncertainty. So this project is slowly translating into, let's say, a corporate solution, addressing not only medical practitioners, but also employees who are now struggling with adapting to virtual workspaces and the new circumstances surrounding their routines. Next. The third example is the 3D data visualization software that we developed because part of our team comes actually from academic sphere. And for those of you who work with microscopy or with MRI or CT images, you know this is a very exhausting work. We have developed software that translates these raw volumetric data and shows them in a 3D environment. Not just displaying them, but it allows you to interact with your research object in a, let's say, almost a fun way. Definitely relieving the cognitive load on your brain so you can work longer and you can work more focusedly because you are in your space, in your virtual space, you're not distracted by your colleagues or your surroundings. So it is an extremely popular tool that we are now trying to extend to more data formats. I strongly encourage any of you, if you work with some data formats that you would like to see how they would be displayed on XTAL, don't hesitate to send them to Alan or to us. We'll be happy to create a demo for you. This particular solution also helps universities, professors, and researchers to popularize their fields. So when they are organizing a demo event for young talent, they are also showing them that in their department, they will be interacting with very advanced technologies that lots of the students know from gaming. And that also makes a huge difference, to be honest. Next. Lots of our partners who have successfully piloted and evaluated XTAL request us to build a custom-made VR lab for them. The VR lab sounds like it's a big space, but actually it can be just one room where we prepare everything from A to Z, complete VR setup that can either be customized for one particular research project, or it can serve the whole department or faculty as a training site, as a research site, collaborative space, and also allows universities and teams to explore new partnerships by employing VR and opening new possibilities. Very often, this VR lab comes also with customized content for our clients. Next. So as you can see, we are quite R&D enthusiastic. Our pipeline is very unorthodox. Right now, most of our effort is still in the discovery and R&D stage. We are looking at interesting use cases. We are very much interested in how academicians or researchers or even clinicians interact with VR. What's their user experience, how we can improve it. And of course, we are watching where also the market is looking, where the trends are going, and we're trying to explore most interesting use cases for VR. With some use cases, we are already a little bit further, and we are building finalized solutions. When I say a final solution, XTAL is only one element. We are then partnering with other hardware solutions that are, for instance, measuring the biofeedback or have other complementary functions to the headset. We are partnering with content providers and also with clinicians and regulatory experts so that the content is compliant with current clinical best practices. So this is a solution in the sense that we perceive it. Ultimately, our goal and wish is to move forward into clinical trials and build real clinical evidence for VR solutions. As you know, there are only limited clinical studies out there, which are definitely not of sufficient scale. That's why we are so keen on partnering, especially with hospitals and companies, to pilot more trials and also initiate trials that are multi-site. Our partnering model is very proactive. So if you happen to be someone who purchases XTAL from us and gives us your trust in using our solution for VR, then we want to build an active relationship with you. And this means that very soon you will probably have an email from me initiating a call and discussing your R&D strategy, topics of your interest. We will try to align them with ours and then explore them actively. By that, we mean that we are very open to writing grant projects. We are submitting about 2 grant projects monthly, which is quite a lot for a small company. Writing publications and white papers, it's also a priority activity for us. But then, of course, promoting collaborations to industry partners and different stakeholders, also media, so that they know there are interesting VR projects going on and also international collaborations. We are also happy to participate on guest lectures if our partners wish so. And of course, in the mid-run and in the long run, we are hopeful that there will be new IP formation and co-development agreements being formed with us and maybe some other industry partners. Of course, we respect that not everyone is interested in collaborative projects. So if you want to conduct your research independently, then we are here to support you in the best way possible and equip you not only with XTAL and all the related licenses and updates, but also inform you about any new add-ons, about interesting complementary hardware or content should you need it. So this pretty much sums up our approach to partnering in healthcare. If there is one core takeaway, we would like you to know that we are more than just a hardware manufacturer. We are your VR R&D partner, and it is in our best interest that we are build strong evidence and a business case around itself. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to include them in the Q&A. And for now, thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Liliana. Thank you. We do have a very technical question. I wonder if Jan can help us out with this one. So Paul's asked if, regarding the mixed reality functionality, is the 3D video recorded by the cameras adjusted to the eye spacing of the user? And I don't know the answer to that one.
Yes, most definitely I can answer this. I was actually typing already the answer, but I will gladly talk about it. So thank you for this answer, for this question. And actually this eye spacing feature, which is the automatic interpupillary distance detection and adjustment, it is also used when the mixed reality module is add on to the headset. So yes, even in mixed reality, the whole picture and scenery, how it is visualized, is adjusted to the given user's distance of his eyes from his nose.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions from anyone at this time? Just if you're interested in trying this out, we've got a central London studio. If you're in the vicinity of London and you want to come here and try out the XTAL 8K for yourself, you're more than welcome to just book a meeting with us. Send us an email to info@target3d.co.uk, or by all means contact through VR Engineers if you like. One key feature which I'd like to highlight, which is a progression from the previous 5K version, is that everything works through one cable connection. So that's power and video all through the graphics card, and that's quite a really useful advancement for ease of use of this headset, which is great. You can also see on the front here, I don't know how discernible it is because my webcam on my laptop's not that great, but you can almost see that the integrated tracking module is there, this thing which clips on the outside. So when you order your headset and you order it with your tracking system, be it OpsTrack or Vicon, this comes custom and built. So it's all very kind of neat and self-contained. But you can ad hoc, right? So for example, if we wanted to add a passive tracking system with an optical tracking, we could just put that on top. And there's features in your game engine to make sure that your pivot point's correct, and you can be 6-DoF tracking pretty quickly. So yeah, that's a few additional features there. I wonder if there's any other questions. Anything else you want to add, Jana, from your perspective?
I see another question actually that just came. Is the system mobile or is it connected to the computer at all times? Yes, I think as Liliana mentioned it, unfortunately for now, the XTAL 8K is not really mobile since it needs to be connected via a very tiny cable. Alan, perhaps you can show the tiny cable. It's
yeah,
USB-C,
yeah. Right?
Yes, we can see it. So this little tiny cable is connected directly to the GPU.
So if you did have a HP G2 backpack with the new GTX graphics card, probably should work. Jan, is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Actually our headset is supported by the NVIDIA RTX suite of GPUs. So those GPUs already have this, like Alan said, it's a USB Type-C connector. The cable is actually called Virtual Link. However, if you would be equipped with backpack PC or any other PC that does not have this GPU, we also have this connector that we can use to actually put the headset into more types of GPUs. And like Jana mentioned, we are always tethered, that is true, but when you would like to have some use case where you want to roam freely, maybe around the VR lab, and like Alan said, we can use the HP backpack, or there's even more types of backpacks which can be worn, and thus the user is not limited by the cabling. If you would still want to use the power of a PC that is maybe under a table, we can come within the project to build such VR lab or any other project with the system, with a cabling system, so that the cables are not lying on floor, etc. And it's very user friendly. And actually, from our customers, we don't quite often hear the feedback that the headset being tethered would be a big problem. So I believe if you have some specific idea in mind, we can work it out to your needs.
Great, thank you, Jan. I see another question, and it will be definitely for Lily. Could you explain a little about the Beyond the Pill and how they are using it for pain management?
In this area, we are working on 2 use cases. Unfortunately, I cannot disclose too much. The first use case is built on already existing evidence and publications showing that VR relief scenarios can provide not only short-term, but even long-term pain relief. So we are investigating this route. We are talking about relief scenarios such as nature or similar. In the second use case, we are partnering with a psychedelic clinic here in the Czech Republic. It is a clinic that has a license to offer psychedelic therapy for patients with chronic pain. In this case, virtual reality becomes part of the scenario in the preparation stage for those who are afraid to undergo such therapy, but it's actually their last resort. We are developing preparation scenarios with the clinicians to prepare them for integration of the ketamine therapy.
Thank you, Lily. Okay, next question. Perhaps Jan, you can take it, or Alan. What specific would you require for your PC and laptop or laptop?
So maybe I can answer this one. So our recommended configuration would be regarding the CPU, at least i7 Intel. Regarding the GPU, it's RTX 2080 Ti. This is the highest model from the current RTX generation. It's really best to use all the big resolution and the wide field of view for the headset. However, if you would be equipped with some lower GPUs, it's possible to use those as well, because we have settings regarding, we use this foveated rendering, which is a technology where we track the movement of the eyes up to 210 times per second. And based on this, we can render in the highest quality only the spaces or the areas where the user is actually looking. So through this feature, we can optimize to some degree, we can optimize the usage of the GPU. Then regarding the RAM memory, the best option would be 64 gigs of RAM, but 32 is okay as well. So these are the most important requirements.
All right, we have another question from James. Can I build apps for the headset with a development environment like Unity 3D? Lily?
Yeah, I can answer.
Okay, so
yeah. So the short answer is yes. You can use Unity 3D, Unreal Engine from Epic. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's very straightforward. Yes, it's fully compatible with Unity 3D. Yeah.
I would add that we are also integrated with the Unigine. So there are these three major 3D engines for building the apps. So the Unity, Unreal, and Unigine, and we are closely cooperating with all these companies. If you would have some, let's say, special requests regarding the technologies that you would like to use for building the application, get in touch with us, and we will work it.
Great. Yeah,
I think that's it's a very good example of why we like working with VR engineers, is that it's collaborative, they're engaged, they're really interested in the way in which the headsets are used. So it's not just a product provision, it's a product, how are you using it, they want to get involved, they want you to really use it to its maximum extent. So it's a really great partnership, particularly for us, and for you as a customer, you would really get that engagement all the way. I don't know if there are any more questions from anyone, but I suppose if not, I suppose it's time for us to wrap up. As I said previously, if you want to have a demo here at Target3D, you're more than welcome to get in touch, book a session. If you're struggling to travel to London for whatever reason, we can come to you with a headset and a workstation and show you how great it is. If you just want to buy one straight away, you're looking at about 7,000 euros for a headset, roughly, give or take, depending on what customization you want with it. And we can get one to you within 2 weeks of order. And I think that's everything. I don't know if you would like to add anything. So sorry, Paul's.
Another question.
That was a question, yeah. So Paul's question: in summarizing your studies regarding the most important parameters of the headset available and guidelines of how successful training scenarios should be designed.
Can you?
Yeah, it's a bit subjective, that really, Paul. I suppose Lily can answer in a bit more detail, but I think it's really subjective based on how you create your content and what your content's trying to achieve. Certainly the headset will give you its parameters, it will give you the resolution, it'll give you the field of view. So the immersion is much greater. I think one of the main comparisons you could make with a lot of the consumer headsets is those headsets, you clearly perceive where the lenses are when you're wearing them. Whereas this, you are fully immersed and you don't see any edges. You see the environment in entirety when you move around. So couple that with the virtual environment, the virtual content, the content will have to speak for its side of things as well to, provide a complete package. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question enough. Lilia, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's a matter of content. It depends on what training scenario you are looking at. Typically, how we proceed is that we consulted with clinicians and also with content developers. We prepare a script. We have the script checked by multiple medical practitioners. We check it with the content developers. If it's a go, if it's compliant, if it makes sense, then it's developed into virtual training. But I cannot be more specific than that. It's really case by case.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Russell is asking if you have any current content for healthcare practices already developed. So Russell, if you could just expand on that, are you asking for something which is kind of out the box, or do you want something just as a demonstrator? Because I think VR engineers can certainly probably provide examples of where content has been developed for healthcare use case. I'm not sure if you're wanting to get hold of that content particularly, or whether you are interested in seeing demonstrable examples for healthcare.
So
I think that perhaps Lily can comment on this.
Yeah, so we as such are not creating any content library that would be our own. It's always intended for a project. We have now several scenarios under development. But most typically, we work with a company that already has access to some content, sends it to us, and then we integrate it with the XTAL, fine-tune it, and send an XTAL with already integrated content to the customer. So usually we work with someone who already has the content. If not, we develop the content with the customer. We don't have a library per se, but this does not apply to the 3D data visualization. So yeah, in this case, we can show you demos of, you know, some parts of tissue or anatomical models that can be seen directly in XTAL. But that's the only content that we are actively developing internally.
Okay. So sorry, Russell's just expanded. He's saying you're essentially developing a new medical center, and content would be great to show the students. So
Yeah,
Russell, where are you in terms of your development for your medical center? Are you 6 months from opening, a year from opening? What's your timeline? Because I think, depending on the timeline, I think something we could definitely help you out with. Something which you could show your students in the right context as well, right? In terms of making sure that students who are studying maybe laparoscopic surgical techniques see the right thing, or students doing physiotherapy see the right content. So I wonder if you can expand on where you are in your journey. And feel free to speak, Russell. I think you've got the microphone as well.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you for taking my call. So essentially, we are developing a new thing with the university in South Africa, and we have to propose them by this Friday, basically a full-on content of virtual reality, augmented reality, and motion capture. So I know someone spoke to Gideon, if I'm not mistaken, our managing director, and
Yes.
he was very intrigued by this new by your new VR headset. We were thinking of how we can essentially sell this to the university, because obviously it's new in South Africa, but they've been given quite a lot of money to develop a whole new center, and yeah, we're looking at obviously live surgeries to live simulations to actual learning techniques through virtual reality. So we obviously need the content as well. So and we've got a team of developers on our side that can do all this stuff, but I was just wondering if you have something currently already developed.
Lily, so perhaps you can comment on it. Actually, it was myself having a call yesterday.
Okay.
And Lily, I briefed Lily already, so Lily can comment.
We do have possibility to access third-party content when it comes to surgical training. That we do, or we can connect you. But like I said, we have no library of content that we can just take out and offer it. These would be third-party pieces of content that can be included in your proposal.
Okay, great. If you don't mind, could you send me that company that does that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russell. I think we will have your contact details already, so we'll follow up after the call with you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Great.
Well, so Kitao Zhang has asked for more details about the Reha VR. So should we follow up afterwards with that as well? More details about that use case in terms of do you have a case study of that, Lily, in terms of the Rehab VR?
Not really, but I'm happy to connect on a separate call or exchange more information via email. So if this could be organized, I'm happy for more details.
Certainly. Okay, great. We'll follow up there. So likewise, if anyone's got any so we're getting into specifics here. So if people want more information about specific projects and specific use cases, please just drop us an email We've got Liliana at vrjuniors.com or sales@target3d.co.uk. Just drop us an email and we'd be happy to follow up with you and give you some more specific examples. Yeah, and I think we can take it from there. Anything else to add, Jana?
Nothing from my side.
Okay.
No questions.
Well, we'll wrap this up then. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've all found it useful and informative. As I say, this will all be ready for publication on Monday onwards on our YouTube channels, our respective YouTube channels. And feel free to share that. We'll also publish this on LinkedIn. But from us, I think it's time for us to say goodbye and thank you very much for joining.